Something shifted in the spiritual atmosphere the moment you walked into the last room you entered. You did not speak. You did not perform. You did not announce yourself in any deliberate way. Yet something changed. People adjusted. Energies reorganized. Conversations altered their direction. Masks that were comfortably worn suddenly felt heavier on the faces of those carrying them. What you experienced as an ordinary entrance was registered in the unseen realm as the arrival of a frequency so concentrated, so undiluted by compromise, that the entire invisible architecture of that space had no choice but to respond to what you carried inside you. In the entire recorded history of spiritual warfare and energetic dynamics, there has never been a weapon more disruptive to darkness than a soul who has achieved genuine inner stillness. Ancient texts across every civilization describe it. The Egyptians called it the undivided heart. The Hebrews called it the pure in spirit. Eastern traditions called it the uncarved block. What they were all describing was you, a human being who has done the rare and almost impossible work of becoming consistent on the inside. Most souls fracture under pressure and become readable, predictable, and therefore manageable by dark energy. You did not fracture. Not long ago, you were in a situation where the easier, more socially acceptable choice would have been to pretend, to perform a version of yourself that matched what the room expected, to dim something real inside you in exchange for comfort, approval, or belonging. And for a moment, perhaps longer than a moment, you felt that pull, the seductive gravity of just fitting in, just going along, just being whoever the environment needed you to be. But something in you refused, not loudly, not dramatically. You simply stayed yourself. That quiet refusal to become a distortion of your own soul sent a frequency outward that the spiritual realm immediately cataloged. What you must now understand is that your refusal did not go unnoticed. Long before you were aware of your own energetic power, forces were already studying you. The dark energies, those that operate through manipulation, insecurity, and the hunger to control, had already identified you as a problem. Not because you were aggressive, not because you confronted them, but because your mere presence made their strategies harder to execute. Simultaneously, divine intelligence had been observing something else entirely: the way your energy remained clean, even under contamination attempts. The way your light did not dim, even when every surrounding environment was designed to extinguish it. There were moments in your recent life that tested the purity of your frequency in ways you may not have fully recognized. A person who carried chaos tried to pull you into their storm, and you remained still, not cold, but rooted. A situation arose where dishonesty would have served your immediate interests, and you chose the slower, more painful truth. An environment filled with low vibration tried to normalize itself around you, and instead of adapting downward, you held your standard quietly, firmly, without making anyone feel judged for where they were. Each of these moments was a calibration test, and your energy passed without compromise. There exists within divine order a category of soul that the highest celestial intelligences track with particular attention. These are not souls who are perfect. They are not souls who have never stumbled. They are souls whose core frequency, the signal at the absolute center of who they are, remains oriented toward truth even when surrounded by distortion. You have been placed in this category. And what makes you specifically remarkable, what makes you what higher beings would describe as spiritually dangerous to darkness, is that you do not need a stage, a title, or an audience to maintain that frequency. Your power operates in silence. The moment your frequency reached its current level of concentrated clarity, something occurred in the divine realm that is reserved for only the rarest of spiritual events. God directed his full, undivided attention toward the signal your soul was emitting, and the archangels, those ancient intelligences whose entire existence is devoted to the maintenance of divine order, were summoned to observe what was being recorded in your life. They did not gather to evaluate whether you deserved recognition. They gathered because what your soul was demonstrating had already passed every threshold of evaluation. They were not your judges in that moment. They were your witnesses. From that witnessing came a decree that altered the trajectory of everything connected to your existence. The universe, which had been carefully constructing the infrastructure of your next level for longer than your conscious mind can track, issued an irreversible activation. Every suppressed gift inside you received clearance to surface. Every door that had been held closed by spiritual timing was given its release signal. The decree was not conditional. It was not dependent on your performance going forward. It was a recognition of what had already been proven and an authorization of what was now ready to be released into the world through the vessel of your presence. The identity you have been living inside, shaped by years of being misunderstood, years of feeling like too much or not enough, years of wondering why you never quite fit into the spaces people tried to place you in, was never your real identity. It was a temporary container. You are something far older, far more architecturally complex than the biography of this single lifetime suggests. You are a soul that was specifically calibrated before birth to carry a frequency that does not negotiate with darkness. You were built for contrast, built to be the thing in the room that makes comfortable lies suddenly feel unbearable to maintain. Your mission is not to confront darkness. It is not to argue with it, expose it publicly, or wage war against it through force. Your assignment is far more elegant and far more devastating to everything that operates through deception. Your mission is simply to be fully, consistently, unapologetically yourself, to walk into rooms carrying your complete frequency without editing it, for comfort, to let your emotional clarity, your quiet confidence, your unmanipulated presence do what it was designed to do, which is to create an atmosphere where authenticity becomes the only thing that feels survivable. Your presence is your purpose. Your stillness is your strategy dot as the divine authorization of your frequency takes full effect. Watch the material dimension of your life begin to reorganize. Relationships that were draining your energy without reciprocating it will begin to naturally dissolve, not through conflict, but through incompatibility with your new level. Opportunities that align with your authentic frequency will begin presenting themselves with a precision that feels almost choreographed. Financial flows, creative openings, physical well-being, all of it will begin recalibrating around the version of you that has stopped managing your own power downward, for the comfort of environments that were never built to hold what you carry. People will begin seeking your presence without being entirely sure why. They will describe it as calming, as grounding, as somehow clarifying, like being near you makes it easier to think honestly, to feel what is actually true, to access parts of themselves they had forgotten existed. You will not manufacture this effect. You will not work for it. It will simply be the natural consequence of a frequency operating at its authentic level in a world where most frequencies have been negotiated down to something more socially palatable. Your presence will become a permission slip for other awakening souls to stop apologizing for the power they were born carrying. Across the world right now, there are thousands of souls who carry the same frequency you carry. They are in different cities, different cultures, different circumstances, but they are all navigating the same strange experience of making rooms shift simply by entering them. They are all learning, as you are learning, that their power was never in their words or their strategies, but in the undiluted signal of who they actually are. These souls are being activated simultaneously. They are being positioned across the globe, not randomly, but architecturally, placed at specific intersections of human experience, where their presence will create the maximum disruption to darkness and the maximum invitation to light If something in what you just heard felt less like new information and more like something your soul already knew and had simply been waiting for permission to claim, then you have just received your confirmation. Do not scroll past this moment. Do not let the busyness of ordinary life absorb what was just activated in you. Share this with someone who has been told their energy is too intense, too quiet, too different. Someone who needs to understand that what makes others uncomfortable about them is not a flaw, but a frequency. Comment 777 if you felt this in your body. Subscribe so the next transmission reaches you. Stay, because what comes next was built for exactly where you're going.